All right, we are going to get started. My name is Jenna Nelson. I am the founder of HerAIgency. And what we're going to be doing this month is really talking about AI and some of the fears that I hear a lot from founders and even employees about how AI might replace them or what they're worried about, the kind of robots in the closet, so to speak. Today, in particular, I want to talk about whether or not AI is going to replace you. That is one thing I hear all of the time from, again, employees or founders themselves is, is this going to take over? Are my skills going to be valuable at all? And the answer is yes. And I'm going to kind of walk you through why and also where to use AI and where AI can't really replace you and how to find that perfect intersection in between. Why we're talking about this right now. So there was a recent survey and there was 67% of small business owners have this fear, right? That it's going to make them irrelevant, that their clients aren't going to need them anymore. And that's a huge number, right? And the reality is the weekly time savings for businesses that are using AI tools on the low end, we're talking about 10 hours. On the high end, hundreds, honestly, depending on the scale of the organization. So the one I kind of quote to my clients personally is, about 10 to 15 hours a week is what I'm going to save you by implementing these AI systems. And that's a lot of time to get back and use for, the things that AI can't do. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So the real risk is not that AI is going to replace you. The real risk is that if you don't adapt to it and start implementing it in your business, your competitors are going to get ahead of you. They are going to start using it and be able to do more, be more visible, put more content out, reach a broader audience. And that's where your real risk is in falling behind because you're not adapting to the latest technology. So I always want you to think about AI as a tool that's going to amplify what you do, not replace it. So let's kind of demystify what AI is. At its core, AI is math. Forget about, the robots taking over or AI taking over and being smarter than humans. Think of AI, kind of like your phone's autocomplete, but far more sophisticated when we're talking about, LLM models like ChatGPT or Claude. What these models do is they match patterns. And that's done, it's math, it's numbers. They take massive amounts of data and they come up with essentially the best right solution. It's not really thinking, it's finding patterns and predicting what it is that you want it to do or what the most right answer is. So think of it again. One analogy that I use all of the time is somebody hands me a calculator. I can't necessarily do calculus. I definitely can't. And if somebody hands me a hammer, I can't build a house. These are tools. They're not going to do everything, but they can help you do what you do faster, better, and definitely with less kind of brain burnout because I want you to save your brain and your skill set for the things that only you can do and the creativity and the strategy and things like that. So here's what AI can't do and why you are safe in terms of it not replacing you. Strategic thinking. Now you can, with good prompting, with well-trained AI, you can get a lot of good strategy out of AI, but it doesn't know your business as well as you as a human is going to. It doesn't know how the market's shifting, what the kind of vibe is out there around what it is that you do. And it certainly doesn't know anything about like your long-term vision and the ideas that are tucked in the back of your head. It can't make those really big picture decisions for you about your company's future and what you're going to do to get there. It absolutely cannot build a relationship in the same way that you can as a human. Your clients hire you or they buy from you, not a chatbot, not AI. They want to know your personality. They want to know your unique personal stories. That's another thing that AI can't do. It can't tell personal stories. And so it can't draw that human connection in the same way that you can. It absolutely cannot make judgment calls, right? There are times when there are situations that have, a specific nuance or some reason why we might deviate from what we would normally do. For instance, one thing I always preach is like, don't put your links in your social media post, right? I want them in the comments because that's what the algorithm favors. Well, today I was posting some promos for this webinar, right? And I needed to get it done fast. I had a client call, and so I didn't have time to wait on those posts to be approved and go back and add it to the comments. So today it went in the main post, right? And that worked, and it was fine. So there are times when you're going to deviate, and AI can't figure out if that's the right call or not. And then true innovation. What AI does is it's recombining existing ideas, things that are already out there in the universe that people have already thought of or talked about. It's not creating brand new concepts. It's not any kind of like disruptive strategy, anything brand new that nobody's ever thought of before. It can't do that. That's where we still need humans. So today, what I want to talk about to kind of give you, an intro step with AI, if you're not using it at all, or if you've, maybe only played with ChatGPT a little bit, I want to give you 3 actionable ways that you can start using it to save you time. And so the 3 that I kind of give to people as my go-to, like, try it here, are first, lead qualification bots. And I'm going to actually show you in a minute 2 of mine that I use for exactly this purpose, because I want to show you how it works in practical use. But essentially, what I found personally is that I was spending a ton of time answering the same questions to potential clients or somebody that booked a consult. I was asking them the same questions, and sometimes, they were disqualifying themselves with those answers. And so I've got 2 different bots that do a lot of that for me now. And they essentially pre-qualify the lead for me. So I'll show you live how those work in a minute. Lead magnet creation is the other one, right? One thing that I see all of the time is people spending weeks, months, hundreds of hours creating this lead magnet, and maybe nobody wants it. Maybe it's not as impactful as you thought it was going to be. It doesn't test well. And now you've sunk however long into this one lead magnet. The beauty of AI is, you can give it some of your ideas and, your basic frameworks and things like that, and generate several different lead magnets. And then you can test those and see which ones actually get adopted, which one works. And, then maybe you expand it and spend all those hours on it after that. But you can create some pretty quick lead magnets and see what's going to resonate with your audience without wasting months by using AI. And then FAQ and welcome emails. So obviously, you want to give it that raw context of, here are the 5 questions that people ask me all the time about my services or my business or my niche. And you'll want to give it those answers, but then you can use it to have it write that full, thorough FAQ for you, right? And that's going to save you a ton of time. And FAQs are extremely important right now in AI visibility. So if you're trying to get found, in the answer snippets on Google, if you are hoping to show up in the people also ask section, those FAQs are a lot of what's driving that. So having a AI service, an LLM, write those FAQs for you actually kind of plays into the way you're going to put that into your content, and then ultimately have AI be able to scan it and find it. So it's kind of a cheat code there because it's structuring it in the way it wants to find it anyway. So that can be really helpful. So these are just 3 ways. You're not disconnecting from your audience with any of this. You're not letting the robot take over your brand. You are just using it to speed up processes and ultimately help more people, right? If you are spending hundreds of hours creating a lead magnet that nobody wants, you're not helping anybody. So consider these as like starter intro ways to incorporate AI in a way that doesn't feel like you're letting it take over. So ultimately, what I want you to do is I want you to combine AI with your human processes, because that's where the true magic is. So AI can provide, the speed and efficiency, the formatting. It can draft things for you and maybe get you thinking about like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to put that in there, but that's a good point. It can research for you. And AI is 24/7, right? It doesn't get sick. It doesn't have kids that are out of school. It doesn't have anything like that, right? So you've got that tool at your disposal all of the time. And then on the other hand, what you provide is that strategic direction, at the creative vision, the relationship building with your clients. That's really important. And then the quality control, right? I never want you taking anything from AI and just spitting it out, right? Like it needs to be edited. You need to add your personal stories, your personal anecdotes, adapt to your tone a little bit. But that authenticity comes from you in the editing phase, essentially. And so ultimately, the result here is that you have more time for the high value activities that your clients really care about versus creating, you spending hours creating a PowerPoint template, right? Like that's not as beneficial to your audience as you getting on the phone with them for 30 minutes and working through a problem. So this is one of my actual clients. I have changed her name, but this is a very true story. And this is how she was doing a weekly newsletter. And when she came to me, it was taking her about 4 to 5 hours of her time every week. And honestly, she was getting really burnt out with it and just didn't want to do it anymore. It was well received, great open rates. She was getting a lot of business from it, but she was just like, I'm tired of doing it. I tried to hand it off to a VA. They don't get my brand. The content's not as good. So we put together a system for her, a specific content system that has taken this from what was 4 to 5 hours a week to at most an hour a week. And honestly, I think as we've adapted this over the last year, I think she's probably down to more like 30 minutes at this point for this newsletter. And our open rates have gotten better. The business from those newsletters has increased all around. This has been a massive both process improvement and also client deliverable improvement. So again, before this was taking her a really long time. With the AI assisted process, and what we did is we trained a custom GPT to know everything about her brand, all of her offers, made it understand her newsletter format, what she wanted in it each week. And then with that custom GPT, she goes in now and we ask it to do 3 versions each week based on whatever topics she talked about in her live content the week before. We get those 3 versions out of it and then, kind of cherry pick. Sometimes one version is perfect, good to go. Sometimes we pick and choose from different versions, but we get 3 kind of draft formats and then whittle down to what makes the most sense. So that process takes her maybe 20 minutes, right, to draft the outlines and then pick and choose the elements she wants. Then she spends at most 30 minutes editing, adding personal stories. I'd always have her, add like an anecdote, a personal intro from her, something that connects with her audience. But then we're done, right? It's maybe 45 minutes to an hour. It's sent off to the VA to do graphics and put into her email system for formatting, and we're done. And this has dramatically improved her workflow because she's not wasting all of this time per week and like mentally burning herself out. One of the things she told me when she came to me with this problem was, I do these on Mondays, and literally by the time I'm hitting send at noon or 1 o'clock, like I'm burnt out, I'm done. And I've burned my whole Monday and kind of burnt myself out for the week. And that is what I don't want happening. So let's see how these lead qualification demos or lead qualification bots work in practical terminology. So again, I'm going to show you my live ones, but for example, this process is extremely simple and it's also still very manual. So hypothetically, visitor lands on your website or at your link in bio, right? They see the chat option, or maybe it's on a landing page. That bot walks them through a series of questions, maybe about their budget or their needs or what kind of business they run. And then it gets you a pre-qualified lead summary with all the information you need to know, what, that might not be a lead worth pursuing, or that's a really hot lead. I want that business. Let me get on the phone with her right now. It gives you everything you need. It cuts down on, a lot of back and forth. You are ready to jump right ahead with your most qualified prospects. So again, this version, still very manual, right? Like you are just getting some early information. It's almost like a form, but a little more interactive and you can be a little more consultative about it. And then you can follow up, however you want to. Now, me being me, I want to further automate the heck out of this process. And based on their answers, I want to sort them and tag them and send them through a nurture sequence or, wherever might make sense to automate it most. But if you just want something very simple to qualify your leads in advance, these chat style bots can be extremely effective. So my takeaway today is, the monster here in the closet is not AI. It's you being scared of it and not implementing it because of whatever fear you're holding. Maybe it's, my clients are going to trust me because they know I'm using AI, or it's going to misrepresent my brand, or it doesn't know what I know. All of those things don't have to be true if you use it right, essentially. And so, I want you to get your time back, and I want you to avoid that burnout of what can be automated. Let's automate that so that you can focus more on the creativity, the relationship building, the strategy, the things that really drive your business forward, not rewriting a welcome email 16 times, right? Like, that's not a good use of our time in 2025. So, if you are in a position where you have not really implemented AI yet into your business, or maybe played with ChatGPT a little bit, but haven't really adapted, to really using it, I this kind of tiered step is where I want you to start. So, start small. Pick one specific thing that you're like, if I could take this off my plate every week, it would make my life so much better. Maybe that's social media content. Maybe it's your PowerPoints for a webinar you do, whatever it might be. Pick one thing and then find the right tool for that. If you are brand new to this, if you're just getting started, I strongly recommend start with ChatGPT. It is kind of the original, and it is maybe the easiest to learn right out of the gate. So start there. Or, depending on what you're doing, maybe, you need a different AI tool if it's more graphics based or video editing, something like that. But find one small problem, find the tool that can help you solve it. And then after you've integrated that and you see that result, then start scaling up and then start adding it into other areas of your business. And that will make it feel less overwhelming and like you're just like releasing AI into your business and hoping for the best. That's not really what I want you to do. I want kind of a slow, controlled entry point and figure out what works and what doesn't. So that's kind of my overall messaging about getting started with AI and how you can make it, work for your brand in whatever feels the most, reasonable to you. Some people are way more willing to adapt it than adapt. Find your starting point and ease into it if you need to. So I'm going to show you now two different chatbots that I use. One is through ChatGPT and the other is through a program called MindPal. And I'll explain the differences and why I use them differently. And both are options, and there's other options out there as well. But these are the two kind of starting points when I'm working with clients. This is kind of where I start them. Let me switch screens over. Okay. So this is my ChatGPT version, right? And this is if somebody were coming from my website or a link that I'd given them, this is where they'd land, right? Got a little bit of branding, it's got a cheeky name, it's got my name, and it's got the start here button. So they don't have to prompt anything, they don't have to figure out what to do. They literally just click this button and it's going to, and I'm going to go ahead and flip over to my other tab because I started this process. So we don't have to wait on it. But here's what it's going to spit out, right? It's going to tell them what we're going to do, why we're doing it. And essentially what this is this is a lead magnet into another program that I have. But if they work through this, if they say, yeah, let's do it, it asks them for some very basics, their business name, their website, their email address. And then I have all these kind of micro coaching tips kind of baked in here. I want this to feel, and my other one's even more in depth, but I want this to feel like a consultative process. I don't want them to feel like they're just filling out a form and sending it off. I want them to feel as close to talking to me directly as I can get. This one is on ChatGPT. And what's beautiful about this one is that anyone can use it, right? You don't even need to log into ChatGPT. I can send them this link. They can use it. The downsides with a ChatGPT qualification bot like this are twofold. One, you can't really collect direct contact information. Now, what I do is I put a form in front of this to get them to the link. So they have to give me some basic info. Then I send them this link. So I collect that ahead of time. But there's nothing currently available in the ChatGPT ecosphere that will let you like collect the information and send it to your CRM. The other downside of a ChatGPT bot like this is that if they are not on a paid version, then it times out at a certain amount of responses back and forth. It used to be 5 with 4.0. I'm not confident with the rollout of 5. It might be a little bit more now, so it might be more functional now. But if you're going to use ChatGPT for something like this, it needs to be kind of short and sweet, because if they're using the free version, it's going to time out on them. So if you can get to the answers you need in like 3 to 4 questions, perfect, great. You do need ChatGPT Plus to create a custom GPT, which is how this is done. So that's $20 a month, but money well spent, right? If you're pre-qualifying these leads. It takes them through this process that feels on brand and feels consultative and like they're working, with my brand or me specifically. So this is one way to do it. And again, we do this by training a custom GPT. The other option that I really like is called MindPal. And MindPal is great. The subscription cost is not super high and you can do a lot with it. But what I have in here, so here are my 2 chatbots that I use. This is my lead qualification, this paid ads readiness advisor. And this one, my ad strategist, this is an actual like paid product. It walks them through anything they need to set up meta ads, to walk them through tracking and ideal copy and all sorts of stuff like that. If they can't, afford one-on-one ad support, this is a great like starter option for that. But this one is my lead qualification bot. And so this is the actual chatbot itself. And I'll show you that in a minute. But going back to the agent that supports it behind it is this ad strategist. And so in here, I have given it all of my knowledge. It has tons of, it's got goals, how to talk to people. I've baked in my brand voice and things like that. But where it pulls everything from is this knowledge source. So I have a like 20 section, I think, ads playbook, and it's got all of it in here, right? So Google tracking installation, meta tracking installation, ad glossaries, creative best practices. I update this monthly, FAQs. Everything that's in here is in its knowledge base. So it can pull from any of this knowledge to chat with the end user. So again, this is on the paid side. So this one is a little bit more robust. The actual readiness advisor, essentially, what's great on MindPal is that I can do user info collection. You can either do that with their form, or I actually have it baked into the process. So it asks them up front and it doesn't let them get around it. They have to give me their info. And then, it's got, some a description. Like it tells it like, hey, let's see if ads are going to work for you. Let's see if this is the next right step for you. So it walks them through all of these things. And then let me show you kind of where this lives live and how you can brand it. So I keep this one literally on my own domain, on my website, which also helps with like lag time on your website. It's keeping people here, but it brings them here to this page. And it is literally just a window. It says, consider me your personal ad strategist. You just say start, or you can click this button and it's going to walk them through everything essentially. So it asks for a name, give it what it wants. It asks for contact information. This gets directly sent to me via email and put into my CRM. But now what it's going to do is it's going to ask questions, all the things that I would ask somebody who wants to book an ad consult with me, right? And I used to spend hours a week in consults for ads. And a lot of people aren't ready for that step yet for whatever reason. They don't have the budget, or their funnel isn't ready, or they don't have a proven offer, whatever it might be that was disqualifying them. I'm able to kind of weed that out early on. So, with this one, it asks, about your current offer or lead magnet. Has it generated leads? Because that's really important. If their answer is no, I don't want them starting with paid ads. I want them to go organic first and prove that offer before I have them start wasting money on ad spend. So let's hypothetically say yes. And what it's going to do is it gives a little bit of context, right? Like a validated offer is the foundation of ad success. These are all things that I would say on a consult with somebody that I'm now keeping my time freed up for. I have this set up to where it can actually evaluate their landing page and scan their landing page for the things that like I would immediately identify as like, okay, it's not mobile friendly. You don't have a clear CTA. There's a bunch of things going on this page. So it's going to walk them through several questions. And then at the end, I think it's about 6 questions. At the end, it does one of two things. If they are a candidate for ads and they have the budget that, would make sense for someone to manage it for them, it routes them to my calendar to book a consult. I get emailed the summary, done. If they're not for whatever reason, and maybe they don't have the budget yet, or they don't have that validated offer, it routes them to that other bot that I just showed you that shows kind of how to do it DIY style, right? Because if they don't have a big enough ad budget to maybe meaningfully run ads, they probably don't have the budget for ad management either. So I send them to that kind of low cost starter program to kind of get their feet wet on their own. And if they come through this whole thing and they don't have a funnel yet, they don't have a proven offer, all the things that I would consider, the foundational building blocks, then it sends them another direction and it sends them to a funnel consult with me to do, a full walkthrough of like, let's get your funnel ready for ads before we go down that road. So it's a very consultative process. It routes them. And this, I think MindPal honestly is like $39 a month. Don't quote me on that. But this can be a huge time saver. And honestly, it's a full interaction. I get a ton of really great compliments on this from people that have used it. It feels, and also because, I'm asking a lot of questions about their offers and their budget, sometimes those questions can be hard or can make you uneasy to answer live to someone, right? So this kind of gives them a opportunity to pre-qualify themselves without, putting them in front of, somebody who's going to be like, we're maybe not ready yet. And here's why. So it can be a really great entry point depending on what you do and what your niche is. So these are just two options. They're not that hard to set up. It's not that hard to train them to do what you need to do. And it can be a great both lead magnet for you and also lead qualification, which will save you a ton of time getting on consult calls with people that can't afford your services or don't have, the right pieces in place, things like that. So, and enables you to chase, essentially the hottest leads if you want to. So that's kind of it. That's kind of the demo. I am more than happy to answer questions or show you anything else you might want to see. That's just kind of the gist of it, and just ways that you can kind of start slowly incorporating this into your daily workflows.
Thank you for today. It's really helpful. Lots of food for thought. Like I wrote down a lot of the things that you said, and I'm gonna investigate kind of MindPal and things like
Yeah,
that. Which is super interesting. I appreciate this. I think this is so helpful for so many people because I think a lot of people are feeling like, "Oh, I'm seeing all these layoffs on the news, all these people losing their jobs to AI. What do I do?" And I think it's so good to have this conversation and say, if you start now and it's already integrated into your business, it can be such a help.
agreed. Agreed. Absolutely. Yeah. I know there's a lot of fear out there. I feel like a lot of what I do initially with clients is like educate them and like ease them in a little bit. So I'm hoping to kind of start spreading that messaging a little further, that it's not something to be scared of unless you're just trying to ignore it. It is coming. It is coming for you, whether you like it or not. So like, let's get ahead of it.
No, absolutely. This is like this generation's internet. I honestly like I feel like this is that big of a revolution.
It absolutely is. And I hear from a lot of, particularly older business owners too. They're like, I don't want to learn that. And I'm like, well, any new employees that you have coming in are going to expect to use AI, right?
Mhm.
Like they don't know any different in the same way that like our generation only knew how to use the internet for things, right? Like, so as the workforce changes, you have to adapt for that also. So you can't just like stick your head in the sand and avoid it any longer because it's here. It's coming. We're in the gold rush phase right now. It's getting there. Yeah,
I agree. Well, this is all really helpful. As usual, I will dig into it and see what I learned. So thank you. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Let me know if there's anything I can help with.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, cool. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we will do next week. I can't recall my own topic off the top of my head. Oh, it's brand voice. We're talking about, how to train it and how to keep it kind of on brand. So we'll go through that next week, and just kind of keep tackling these AI fears kind of over the course of the month. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.